Hi everyone, I'm Shirley Agostino. In collaboration with my colleagues Laurie Lockyer and Sue Bennett, we have been researching the area of learning design for close to 20 years. In this talk, I'm going to provide a brief background of this research, introduce you to two learning design tools we have developed, and outline our current research. Allow me to start by putting forward the argument I present at the end. And that is, our research shows that teachers are designers. They engage in design work, and so it's important that they are provided with the appropriate design tools to help them with this design work. That's why I've titled this talk, Supporting Teachers as Designers. Here is our WordPress site where you can access the two learning design tools I'm going to talk about. Also is some detail of our research projects and all our publications. I encourage you to take a look and please feel free to email me if you have any questions or comments. Now, allow me to come back to the start and say, well, where did learning design start from and what is it? So around the mid-1990s, there was a call in higher education for more active student learning approaches. And at the same time, digital learning technologies were becoming more mainstream in higher education. So the field of learning design emerged in the early 2000s in an effort to reconceptualize teaching and learning practices to effectively make use of technology. Importantly, a key aspect of learning design is to share those practices in such a way that educators can reuse or adapt their ideas of others in their own contexts. So in terms of what it is, learning design is an approach that provides tools and models that can help educators to design learning activities and share their teaching practices. It involves both a process, that is helping teachers to design, plan and organise their learning activities, as well as a product where the teacher can describe the learning activities that they have designed and document these learning activities in a particular way, which I'm going to show you in a moment. Where our learning design research started, particularly for me and my colleagues, was a project that we were involved with in the early 2000s. The aim of this project, well known now as the Learning Designs Project, was to identify, evaluate and document examples of teacher practice in higher education that made effective use of technology. And a key aspect of this project was to provide these exemplar learning designs so that educators could then adapt them for their own circumstances and contexts. So this is where the idea for representing learning designs was born. So let's break it down to show you what I mean about our particular learning design approach. Essentially, our approach focuses on tasks that learners do and what resources and supports can help the learner complete those tasks to ultimately achieve the learning outcomes. The way that we show that is through an illustrative way. And so we use symbols. And the idea of this is that a teacher can describe their teaching ideas by showing the sequence of tasks. You'll notice that the tasks are in the middle, and they can be formative and or a summative type of tasks. The resources that are going to help the student complete the tasks. Now, these resources can be provided by the teacher or they can actually be produced by the students themselves from the learning tasks. And on the right-hand side are the supports. So these are the types of supports that the teacher plans to include to help the students achieve those tasks, and they include how the teacher is going to be involved and what type of what technology tools can be used. So here is an example of a learning task This is an example of a series of tasks that ask students to firstly predict a situation, then observe a situation, and then explain. And so on the left are the resources to help the student with that task. So you'll see that the student's given a problem of which that then they need to predict what's going to happen. And on the right-hand side is the ways that the teacher has supported these students. So in this scenario, the teacher will set up pairs where the pairs talk about their prediction. And then at the end, it can be a whole class activity as a group where they all talk about their explanation. Now, here is an example of how teachers from our research have presented their ideas using this approach. On the left, you can see it can be handwritten notes. On the right, where the learning tasks are listed. And on the right, it's a diagram that's used a similar approach to our symbols, where it's just produced in a Word document or PowerPoint, and a bit more detail. So you can see the sequence of tasks, and you can see that that's quite a complex design. Another way that you can describe and document that design is through our LD tool. So we've actually developed an online tool, and in this tool you can actually create a learning design, or you can copy an existing design and then adapt it to your own teaching and learning context. You can save it, and you can print it, and you can also have a look at the repository of learning designs created by others. We've done a number of research studies about how teachers have used this learning design approach. And what we've found is that overall, it does help teachers to design. So in particular, the points that I've outlined here are the key things that have come out from our research. So it can help make your design or your thinking visible. It helps make your thinking shareable. The ability to have access to other designs can serve as inspiration. The nature of the visual element helps you identify the key elements of a design. By organising your design in terms of key tasks, supports and resources, it really allows you to think about coherence in your design in terms of how those tasks can help support the learning outcomes. It encourages you to be more student-centred because you've got tasks at the forefront of your mind when you're designing. Allowing you to represent your design in this way helps you with reflection. And when you're reflecting on your design and thinking about other ideas, and it also allows you to document any adjustments or adaptations that you make with your design over time. In terms of our LD tool, I've provided the link there to the WordPress site where you can access the tool. Currently, we have 600 plus users worldwide. And just some examples of how people are using it is there's people, there's a European university that has embedded this tool as part of their professional learning. And there are, in master's degrees within Australia and in Europe, where they've embedded it in their education courses to allow students to explain and document their designs. What we found by developing this tool is that we really need to know more about how teachers design. So over the past 15 years, we've been researching what school and university teachers do when they're designing. And what we've found is that much of their work is similar to other design professionals like architects, engineers, and industrial designers. What we've found is, like all designers, teachers are constantly engaging in a problem to solution type of thinking. So designers start with identifying a problem and developing their own understanding of it. They then move into cycles of thinking through possible solutions, checking how these fit with the context, and then adapting and refining to find the best way forward. So in consideration of this problem to solution type thinking, we developed, in collaboration with Professor Davinia Hernandez Leo, a problem generation tool that helps to generate deep thinking about a design problem. And so a design problem in education is referring to, say, a teaching scenario. So this tool that we've developed provides stimulus questions to help you stimulate your design thinking about a design problem. And this is one of the tools available in the Integrated Learning Design Environment platform that is aimed to support teachers in helping them with their design work. So why is it important that teaching is considered design? Well, our research has found that teachers engage in design thinking as they prepare to teach, such as planning their lessons, their activities and assessments, while they teach, and that includes they could be modifying their design based on student responses, and after they have taught. So they're reflecting on their teaching and deciding what they will do differently or the same in future. So as they go, they draw on a range of supports, their colleagues, their mentors, online resources, they look at past examples, etc. So thinking about teaching as design provides a more holistic view of what the teacher does and considers it a continual type of process or design practice. But the challenge is that most of this teaching design work is not visible and thus can go unrecognised. We tend to focus on the visible parts of a teacher's work, that is the actual teaching that they do when they're standing in front of a class of students or activities that they've organised online. What we've found from our work is that the design work that teachers do to plan, adapt and reflect is often done at home or outside work hours. So thinking about teaching as design offers a more sophisticated appreciation about what teachers do. From our research, we have found that the two tools I've presented are relevant and useful as design thinking tools for teachers, but teachers use a range of other tools and supports to help them with their design work. So it's really important that we continue to better understand teachers' design practices so that we can develop evidence-based teacher design thinking tools. Now that's a brief rundown of our work. Here are a selection of key publications that detail the research that I've talked about in this talk. And if you would like to know more, once again, there is our WordPress site and there is my email address, and please feel free to email me if you have any questions or comments. Thank you very much for listening.